The forwards. Now, I'm not one who likes to put wingers and forwards or strikers in the same category, but we tend to do that, and that's fine. But when you're looking at the women's national team, the forwards is the most intriguing group because a lot of it relies on rehabbing, players coming back from injury. It's really intriguing because over the summer, over the last year, really, we've gone through looking for players who have the ability to put the ball in the net, are looking for players who offer a different type of profile for forwards. We've gone from two up top to an attacking trio to a single striker up top to players on the side. Bev has done a little bit of tinkering, and now we're reaching a point where a few months out, what is the answer at forward? Who makes the bus? more more aptly, who makes the plane? Who can punch your ticket? Well, let's take this through ball and see what we find. So when we're looking at forwards, for the purpose and the sake of this video, I'm going to separate them into two groups. Groups who I see profile more as wingers and a group that profiles more as a striker. Because while there is versatility in terms of usage on this squad, and you see that all across the board, I mean, heck, Janine Beckie, we could start with her. Literally, what hasn't she played? She's been a 9, she's been a 10, she's been a 7 and 11. She's been a fullback. At one point, she tried to stop a free kick. Janine Beckie represents, I think, in the most part, the flexibility and the fluidity of the players that Bev has to her disposal. But with that being said, a Jack or Jill of all traits, but a master of none. We have players who can play in those positions, but we haven't found the right combination. Even with a player like Beckie, who I do think she can book her tickets to Australia, New Zealand. What's her best position? I think her flexibility, and here's a bit of a thing, I think she might be best off in a wingback / fullback position. I know you may not see her, and I know she played like that. She played in that position at CONCACAF W. And we may have not seen some people, I've talked to some people who said they didn't see anything that popped out with that performance, but it's a fullback. In that role, the less you talk about it, the better I feel they've done. That's my opinion. But in that case, there's a lot of viability, fluidity, flexibility in terms of players. But I think Beckie books her ticket and she's good to go. When it comes to the next forward going for sure, I want to say Adriana Leon is going, even though she hasn't been getting the minutes. Now, granted, I'm recording this at the end of February. So if she's been getting a run of play, guys, put in the comments below so that I feel vindicated a little bit with her being able to play. But last year was a great year for Adriana Leon. She scored, I think at the end of the year, she was scoring all the goals for Canada. But a player who does show that versatility, if you're wondering if she can't play out of the wings, go to the CONCACAF W semifinals, watch the Alicia Chapman goal, and you can check with who sent that into her. And that's all you need to know. Leon to Chapman, get the scoops, put some sprinkles on that. It was good times. So, Leon, Beckie, wingers. Chloe Lacasse, Benfica forward, striker /10 / everything. Bev has been looking at her and seen her more on that wing role. Now, is that her best role? I think for now it might be, especially when we're looking at the injuries that we have on this squad. The one thing I saw at least, looking at the She Believes Cup, man, the lack of pace on wings. Man, the lack of pace on the wings was very evident. And I think that affects a lot of things, especially the midfield, getting proper outlets. You know, there's a lot of factors that make it look either good or bad. But I think Lacasse on the wing is the ideal spot. This is where it starts to get a little bit crowded in that sense. Now, Jenna Hellstrom was an intriguing name to come in I was a little excited to see what she could bring to the national program, but as quickly as she came in, she announced her retirement. And honestly, you know what? You had a good run. Looking forward to see what you do next with your life. There's more to athletes than just playing their sport. So congratulations on the retirement. But let's see what you do next. So with Hellstrom out of the picture, Clarissa Laracy is the next name that gets brought in very often. Now, when she was at Celtic, she did play more in the striker attacking midfield type role. I don't think she has a role in the squad in that position. But Bev has played her mainly on the wing. The first time I remember seeing her, she did have some nice combinations with Simia Wujo in the Australia matchup, the first matchup. Created some great opportunities. But Bev has played her more on the wing, and I think her being on the wing is more the interesting player. Now, so there you have Beckie, you have Leon, you have Lacasse, you have Laracy. By the way, I do apologize in the series if I said someone's name wrong. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That being said, those are the players I would maybe qualify as your wingers. Now, I have not named 2 players so far, and those are the wild cards. Now, in our pre-She Believes Cup press conference, Bev did mention that she's hoping to have back both Deanne Rose as well as Nichelle Prince. And a lot of what she does, both at forward, both at striker and at winger, does come down to the health of those 2 players. Not necessarily just the health, but it's game shape. And this is where, if I'm going to have a bit of criticism for Bev, it was planning to be without them, perhaps. And I think this is the question I'm wondering. We've seen Lacasse get run. We've seen Leon get run. We've seen the forwards, the strikers get run in play, but we haven't seen too many more, especially for Laracy. And I feel like if we really need to know now, this is the thing I say very consistently with Bev is, I don't see training. A lot of us don't. So all we can base it off of is if she's not making the pitch for game time, we must assume maybe training isn't going well. The unfortunate part is, though, all we as fans can see is the game. So for us as fans, we're trying to evaluate players as they play on the pitch, but we don't get to see them play on the pitch. So it's a bit of you're frustrated, but you also acknowledge that you don't see the full scope of things. But then there are some players who could be, better training players versus players who are just better in the game-like situation. But with no Deanne Rose and no Nichelle Prince, I feel like we missed an opportunity to see a little bit more depth, to see what those players were capable of. And because of that, now we're in a situation where if we don't have both players, a lot of what Bev, I feel, is doing is hoping that the rehab process goes well, and we have both Nichelle as well as Deanne Rose. Now, Deanne, who had the earlier injury, had a setback, but she's probably on track to be ready first. Will she be ready for that March-April window? Specifically that April window? I don't know. I haven't been following it as deeply to really know. But with that being the case, our wings, it's not the worst situation. It isn't the worst, but it's not the best either. Right? If you bring back Rose and Prince, who both play as wingers and strikers, they can kind of interchange in that sense. Then on the wing, you're not doing too bad. I know Leon can do that as well. All of these players can do it. But again, for the sake of it, we're grouping them into groups here. I know, we're putting them into categories. I'm sorry. So that being the case, when you have Lacasse, you have Beckie, you have Leon, and then probably one more. Either let's put Nichelle there for now. Now, when it comes to your strikers, I mean, you're left with your strikers are left with essentially, I think right now, Evelyn Vienne as well as Jordan Huitema. And I think both offer something different. Huitema has a bit more imposing height. So for set pieces, you'd expect a combination of her with the center backs, Vanessa Gilles, as well as Kadisha Buchanan to create some great opportunities. Especially if we're looking at also things we picked up from the She Believes Cup. Jessie Fleming on set piece delivery was great. And I think that frees up a player like Janine Beckie where she can be more dangerous in the box or on those set pieces versus the one delivering them. We know what she's capable of, but maybe leave that for just a player like Jessie Fleming. But so when you get to those strikers, you have, I think right now Vienne should be the top. Vienne should be the top player on the depth chart. I believe, based off what you want to play. And a lot of this does come down. I feel when you're looking at this, a lot of how she selects this team will tell us a lot about, and Bev that is, in terms of what we can expect in terms of formations. We've seen the 4-2-3-1 essentially with the two holdings being Grosso and Fleming with a Christine Sinclair in that attacking cam role. Now, whether Sink should start or come off the bench as that energy or that last player who can really get you that extra goal or can really help in the midfield and possess, I think she may be better off on that coming in for 30 versus playing for 45 and then having to sell off. But that's just me. We're not talking about midfielders. We're talking about the forwards. Now, another name that we can see. So with that, then you have a Deanna Rose who can play on the wing, but then also can play as the 9. I think, depending on what the number breakdowns are, more than likely, you're looking at players such as because She Believes Cup, for example, she brought Hellstrom, Huitema, Lacasse, Laracy, Leon, and Vienne, along with Beckie. So Hellstrom retiring takes off 1. I think if all the players are healthy, according to Bev, she might bump, it's just one player at this point. And I think then she would bump, I think Clarissa Laracy would be the player who gets bumped, unfortunately. Which, to me, I don't think is the fair thing. But I would have loved to see Clarissa get more run. I would have loved to see her start a match and really build off in the game and see what she's able to do. Another interesting name that we could see come through on the wings, I think, would be an Amanda Allen. Now, we saw her get run against Brazil. And that was very intriguing because she came up with the 3 U17 girls who played. So you had Annabelle Chukwu, and then you had Ella Otti, as well as Amanda Allen. And Amanda Allen getting run with the senior team kind of does show what she was able to do. And because she got that run, she was also invited to the pre-camp roster. So she got brought into the pre-camp with other players. So yeah, because the pre-camp, you had her. She was the interesting name. Was there Simi came in, Gabby, Jenna came in. Victoria Pickett wasn't able to crack this. Still hoping for the best with her. Bianca St. George's as well. But Amanda Allen getting these looks tells me that she's maybe pushing a little bit, and she may end up being the player who is she's the wild card, I think, of the depth chart players coming through. If Rose and Prince aren't ready, and we know that Hellstrom won't be one of the ones picked. Now, granted, there are other wingers out in the depth chart, but the fact that Amanda has been brought in, I think that gives her the inside track in a situation where maybe Rose and Prince aren't ready. And I could see Bev leaning towards that, which would be intriguing. That'd be a very big vote of confidence, no doubt, especially between her and a player like I'd say like a player like Olivia Smith, who's playing more in that attacking midfield role. That second, she's more of a 10, but more of the second striker 10 versus a creative 10, even though she does have that creativity. But it does really make me think about what is next, especially on that. If those two aren't ready, you could see Larissy coming in more than likely, and then Allen taking over. But if I had to make a depth chart right now, I would say more than likely on the wings, you're going with Leon, Beckie, Lacasse. And again, we're making the depth chart as it stands right now. And then Larissy, but I think Amanda Allen would be close. And she gets to get some run because the CONCACAF U20s are in March. April, they're in April. So those would be the 4 wingers. And then the 3 strikers I would bring would be, actually I would only bring 2 strikers. I would bring Evelyn Viens and Jordan Heitema. And then I would use one of the 2 forwards. I know I said I wasn't gonna give them that, but here I am just breaking my rules. But then I would allow one of the wingers to be able to play a little bit on the wing or up top and give you that flexibility. Other names that could be out there that we could be watching. Chandra Davidson, who's at Sporting Lisbon. Jessica Di Filippo. I think that's an intriguing name. Just recently signed in Europe after a great collegiate career. I think those 2 names would be interesting names to watch on the outside to see what they're able to do. Another interesting U17 name who can come in as that 9. How quickly they forget. Rosa Maloof. I think she could be an intriguing name, but we'll see how she looks at the U20s, coming back from that knock that she had before. But yeah, these are some of the forward options I think Bev might look at. You guys, let me know in the comments you think, who have I missed? Who are the players you think should be on this list? And what's your depth chart? Throw that in. I'm going to stop rambling now, guys, but thanks.